Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video about the Range Rover. This is everything that I love and hate about this car. And I thought we'd start at the back because of the thing that I love the most and also hate the most, which is the automatic boot. Now, this thing is a lifesaver. The fact that you can open it from the key as well as close it from the button on the boot itself is very cool. You can also close it from the key as well. But the reason I find it really useful is because of things like push chairs, or if I'm doing some shopping, a food shop or whatever, I can just quickly load it in and get on my way. However, there are two things that I really dislike about this. Both are my own fault. Has nothing to do with the car, but this is everything that I love and hate. So the first is the smaller of the two, and it's the fact that sometimes if I've reversed into a space where there's a wall behind me, I don't always check how close I am to the wall before trying to open the boot. So what can happen is the boot will open and it will get caught on the wall, but it won't know that it's caught on a wall. So it will just continue to try and open and do more damage than it needed to, which is really frustrating. For some reason, the sensor on the outside isn't great. On the inside, it works wonders. So I don't know, let's say for example, if I'm loading up the shopping and I accidentally lean on the key, it will know that I'm there and not closed, but it doesn't seem to work the other way when it's opening. It's only happened twice, but each time I realize it's gonna hit the wall, it's like a little kind of mini heart attack, and I'm like, oh quick, trying to press the button on the key to stop it from opening. Like I said, it's a small thing. But let's get into the main thing that I dislike about this boot lid, which is me hitting my head. Now, when I mentioned this in the previous video I made about the car, some of you were a little confused as to how that could happen. So am I most of the time, but let me try and paint the picture for you. So before COVID, use your imagination, let's say I'm out with both of my children. Now, the typical process is the younger one will always go in the car first because the older one can stand close to me. So the younger one sits on this side. So what will happen is, I'll walk over to the car with the pushchair's here. I get the smaller one out. I put her in first, whilst the older one is standing here as well. The younger one's in. Then we'll walk round with the older one, and that's my first risk of impact. So I duck down, I walk round, I'll put her in the car. I'll then walk back around, second risk of impact, to get the pushchair to then fold the pushchair up, put it in the car. Now, the likeliness is that in between that happening, one of them will let me know that I've forgotten to give them something, whether it's a blanket, a bottle of water. So then I'm, going back and forth to each side of the car to meet their needs, without them knowing that I'm risking my life every time I pass around the back of the car, because as you can see, I'm quite tall, so it is really easy for me to hit my head. And you would think I'd remember after the first, second, third time of doing it, but I don't. So it still happens from time to time. And when it does, it's one of the worst pains that I have felt. So that's why I really dislike this boot lid, and that is how it happens. That's how I hit my head. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. So let's jump to the front of the car and talk about the second thing that I really love about the Range Rover. So we're at the front of the car now, and onto the second thing that I love about it, which is the looks. Now, this will come as no surprise to some of you, but I do think these cars look really, really good, particularly for its age. So this is a 2017 car, but the design has been around since, I want to say, early 2014, possibly earlier. And I think it's aged very well. It doesn't grow old on you either. Every time I walk out the door and see this car, I still can't believe that we own it, but It's a real good looker, particularly in this color. Can't remember what it is. If I remember to edit it in, I'll put it somewhere on the screen now. But at the time we thought this color was a little unusual. We hadn't seen many in this color, and we didn't want just the regular gray. We didn't want white or black. We wanted something a little unusual, but it turns out this color isn't actually that unusual. We've seen a couple since, just in the town that we live in, but nevertheless, I think it does look very good, especially with the black styling pack. Can't remember if that's what it's called, but all of the exterior trim, like the vents on the bonnet, these side fins, and all around the windows and the badges, etc., are all black, and I think that sets it off really nicely. And another thing about the exterior that you can't quite tell is the wheels. So they're very dirty at the moment, but they are a kind of matte grey, and again, look really, really good when they're clean and suit the colour of the car nicely. So let's move on to the third thing, which I'm pleased to say is inside of the car because it is freezing cold. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is the interior, and I wanted to start with these seats because they are so comfortable, both on short journeys but also long journeys as well. They're nice and bolstered, proper leather, just really, really comfortable. And as we step in, everything is nicely laid out. It's a bit strange because the car is huge, but you feel closed in. It kind of wraps around you, which is nice. You've got this big center console. Everything is nice and easy to navigate. Big old armrest, which is a must. It's a must for the waft, you know? This car has CarPlay, so you have everything that you need. The only thing I would change is the stereo isn't great. If I come from the RS3, which has a great stereo, and jump in this and crank the volume up, I'm always a bit disappointed because it's not great. Again, you could go for a car that has the upgraded stereo, but given that this is a premium vehicle, I would expect the standard stereo to be a bit better than it is, but that's, you know, possibly just my taste in music, etc., that doesn't sound great in here. But that would be the only thing I would change, because apart from that, it's just such a nice place to be. There's loads of premium quality material everywhere. The seating position is great. You've got plenty of visibility out ahead of you. I am going to make an entirely separate video about driving this car and include pros, cons, etc. So that will be coming soon. But one thing I will mention now is the parking sensors. Now, this car is dirty most of the time. So this isn't necessarily a characteristic of the car. It's more so to do with me being lazy, but let's say the car is dirty and you don't have visibility out of the rear view camera, which is okay. But if it's dirty and you can't see out of the rear view camera, you're then relying on your own visibility and the parking sensors. Now, the parking sensors in the rear are not sensitive enough most of the time. So as you will remember from those of you who have watched the video I made about this a couple of months ago, the 1-year update, when I did the exterior walk around, I talked about how we had reversed into a couple of things: fences and buildings, not people and not cars. But the only reason that happened is because the parking sensors in this come on as you're about to hit something. They're just not sensitive enough. And if your visibility isn't great, you're kind of relying on them to do what they're intended for. But they literally do come on as you're about to hit something. So that could maybe be an issue with the parking sensors, I don't know. But like I said, it's, again, one of those things that you could argue is more to do with my driving. However, the front parking sensors are just temperamental outright. Sometimes they work and other times they don't. They just decide they don't want to come on at that time. It's almost as if the car doesn't sense that you're parking all of the time, so it just, you know, plays around a little. And again, it's quite difficult sometimes to get great visibility over the bonnet. It sounds like I'm making a lot of excuses for poor parking skills, but the parking sensors aren't ideal. So back in here, like I said, nothing to really complain about. The pan roof is really nice. It's a nice touch. The girls like it. It lets a lot of natural light in here, makes it feel a bit airier, which is nice, particularly as we have this dark leather And with the lighter headlining, it's just a nice contrast. And yeah, you know, I don't know what else to talk about in here other than overall, it's great. So let's jump back outside and talk about something else that is a bit of a love-hate situation. We are back outside to talk about the next thing that I love and hate about this car. It's something that actually both myself and my wife kind of love and hate, which is the size of the car. So for some context, we upgraded to this car from a 17 plate Focus. So the size increase was a big win, particularly with pushchairs in the boot and the 2 car seats in the back. And they're both quite bulky car seats as well. And now they're both in upright car seats too. So they've got plenty of legroom, etc. in this. And we've taken it on a couple of trips, and it's been really, really useful to just be able to throw everything into the boot and just get on our way. Before COVID, of course. So the size increase was just a big win. It was a win all round. However, where it becomes an issue is parking, particularly around here. So most supermarket spaces, this car is as wide as them. So if it's really busy, if there's no parent and child spaces available, you're trying to squeeze into a space between 2 cars and it's almost impossible to get the girls out the back. So I can get in and out, and so can my wife. We can just kind of slip out the gap. But with these car seats, it's really difficult to, you know, try and get in and get your child out. So that's where it can become a bit of an issue. Also, because it's very villagey around here, if we're popping to a local village, whether it be to like, I don't know, the post office or a butcher's or whatever, again, it's really difficult parking this on the street. Because a majority of the roads around here, if you try and park it on the roadside, you're just blocking the road, so no one can get through. And that's where it can become a bit of an issue parking wise. The other thing is the maneuverability of this car isn't great, and I don't think it's meant to be. So again, this isn't a fault of the car, but it's something that becomes tricky when you're trying to get into a tight space, or if you need to kind of do a UE. It can just become a bit of an issue. So again, not necessarily a criticism of the car, it's more circumstantial, but something to be aware of. Okay guys, so those are the things that I love and hate about this car. As with all of these love-hate videos, the things I hate are really just small annoyances, and like I said, are probably more to do with my driving style or clumsiness. Overall, this is an absolute dream car and we don't really have much to complain about. It's great, but as you know, the more time you spend with a car, the more likely small things are gonna niggle away at you and become a little bit annoying. So don't take it too seriously. Let me know if you share any of my frustrations. But like I said, I am making an entirely separate video about what this car is like to drive, which will include all of the pros and cons, etc. But if there's anything else you'd like to know, let me know in the comments down below. And generally, if you'd like to see more content on this car, again, just let me know. But I'm gonna wrap this up because it's freezing cold. So until my next video, guys, thank you very much for watching. Peace.